And we're back. Hey everybody, I know if you're just watching this video by itself, it's like we're back. What happened? But if you take a look at my Baron video, you'll see at the end. I was like, all right, I'll see you in the next one. It's coming out just a minute. Goodbye. All right. Well, here is that. Here it's coming in a minute. Goodbye. I want to show you something here. Mighty Ukko has gotten a lot of shit from content creators and some of the fan base because he wasn't perfect, because he isn't this almighty champion that we all thought he was going to be, because apparently we got overhyped and we couldn't read. But I want to show you something. I still one-keyed Nightmare Hydra without a decreased defense champion, and it was only Krisk that could apply decreased defense when he is hit, right? Like, here's the thing. Not all the heads have AoE attacks, and it's not consistent. Like, the decreased defense wasn't always up when a Husk had to take his turn, or whatever, etc., right? And I do have 3 people right here running Brimstone. And I recommend that, probably about 3 or 2 running Brimstone when you're taking on Hydra. Ukko is great. He's very good. He's still top drawer. Alright? So top shelf, top drawer, whatever fucking hell Hades says. Who cares? Ukko is still a standout legendary champion. And I'm going to show you why. Let's actually just go to mine. And I'll show you how I built mine. Sorry, let's take that off. Yeah. Alright, this is how I have mine built. We'll look at the masteries first. I want him placing his debuffs. I want him to benefit from the sets I'm putting on him. Perception. And I want him to have extra chances of placing and extending, like decrease attack and block buffs and decrease accuracy, which are both very good here. And we just took him down like just regular mumbo jumbo. Make sure you grab Life Drinker because it'll help sustain him. And bring him down to War Master. That's what you need. Okay? Looking at the skills, his A1 places decrease attack, the big one, at a 50% chance, 75% chance when booked, and then 80 when you grab Sniper. Right there. Okay? His A2, Ukko's Fury, which is kind of like his bread and butter here. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit, when booked, has a 100% chance to remove 2 random buffs from the target. So if they have 4 buffs and Ukko hits them, and it doesn't weak hit, okay, because it does say hit, he'll steal 4 buffs from them. Or remove them. At a 100% chance, he'll remove them. And then, in place of those, if they have no buffs left, he will give them block buffs and decrease accuracy for 2 turns. Alright? This is where everybody's getting hung up on. They thought this was going to be like Ugo, where you just did it. And it was there, and you were happy, and that's it. No, it actually requires you to build a team around this character and to strategize. And I run manual. I run manual because my clan can't just auto all the Hydra heads and get them all down. So I have to manual. We haven't gotten Nightmare down yet. There's about 3 or 4 of us now hitting Nightmare, but we've stopped because we're trying to help the rest of the clan get rewards so they can build up their teams, and then we can down Nightmare and then Ultra Nightmare whenever it decides to come, because they are coming up with a new difficulty for Hydra, and there's going to be a new Hydra head to come into the rotation, right? So you gotta use your Tinker. Nubkex put out a video a couple days, 2 days ago, yesterday I think. And Nubkex, you ever watch my videos? I hope your procedure went well and everything comes back negative. My heart goes out to you, man. I do love your content, but you put out a video and you were just like, what the fuck, he's not as good as we thought he was going to be. And then he made a follow-up video after whatever he went and did at the hospital, and then he started talking about how he like drum up a shitstorm, and he did because the community loves Ukko. That's the thing. Ukko is mighty. He deserves his title. He does many great things. He's a Swiss Army knife. I just wish his like base stats were just a little better. Like I wish HP was like 20,000, and I wish his defense was more like 12. And I think that would be chef's kiss, and he'd be so much easier to keep alive. But let's hit his third ability here. He'll revive all dead allies with 40% HP and give them block damage that are revived for a turn. He'll also give everyone on the team increased speed for 2 turns, and he will also just do this if there are no dead allies. He just gives them increased speed. That's great. If you're not running a setup like mine where you have Nekmothar and Krisk, where both of them are given increased speed and like Nekmothar's during turn meter boost, then Ukko just fits right in with that. He helps you out quite a bit. And let's get at his passive, because this thing has come into play, and I love this passive. He has a 50% chance of stealing 1 random buff from each enemy that receive a buff. Any stolen buffs become protected. I have personally seen him take the Hederath's buffs and put them on himself. It's funny, and it's great. And I believe this also works when the Head of Mischief does a buff spread. Ukko, and it's on each buff on each instance. Ukko's like, trying to grab him, right? He does that. Phenomenal, right? So if your first game plan with this doesn't work, and I'll tell you a situation where that won't work, then this will hopefully help you out when the buffs come, right? He also has an aura that is great. It's 20% in all battles. Very few champions have this much of an aura that are just all battle 20%. And then I told you, and you saw, I gave him Smite. I gave him Brimstone so he can play Smite. And that's just so Smite is constantly up on the Hydra heads dealing damage. Because if you have a Smite debuff on a Hydra head and it's at 1, if another champion of yours has Brimstone and they attack, and the game RNGs decides, okay, that's your whatever 20% to place it, it refreshes the buff up to 2 turns. Right. It takes priority just like HP burn. If HP burns down to like 1 and somebody else places an HP burn and they place a 3-turn HP burn, it resets it and overtakes that debuff. So just something to keep in mind there. There are some instances where you end up placing Brimstone on a decapitated head and you know they're not going to be using any activate abilities, so that fucking sucks. But it's more than warranted to bring into Hydra. We went over the masteries. Now, where this skill gets kind of fucky and everybody's like bummed out about it, but even with this like nerf to him, essentially this little workaround you have to do, it's still amazing. All right. So we're gonna read this caveat here. Places block buffs and decrease accuracy for 2 turns on targets that have no buffs after the attack. Hydra has protective buffs. I'm going to tell you the ones that this works with and doesn't work with. So the only buff this gets around is the digestion buff. It really, I don't know if it's a debuff or a buff. I don't know if it's like a null and void status effect, but Ukko can place block buffs and decrease accuracy on heads that have digest. That's fine. You want him to. Where this doesn't work is when you have the new head spawn and they have that like the new head buff thing. That's when this doesn't work. That's when you're fucked. Also Poison Cloud. So even if they're under like an HP burn, you can't place this if they're under Poison Cloud because they still have 1 active buff. And if the head is respawned, that's an active buff. So you have to delay this to where they have no active protected buffs. Do you see what I'm saying? So I love Ukko, man. He's great. Let me go to I can't go to my Skinwalker. I can go to my faction because it was open. And I probably should have saved this just to show you guys. Ukko has given me record times on my Skinwalkers. This used to be like 3 minutes on stage 20. And then this was like 4 or 5 minutes on stage 21. I run 3-man teams now. It's Ukko, it is Ragash, and it is my favorite fiery fox woman from this faction. Whatever. Fox Lady. I run them as a 3-man team. They cleared this in 55 seconds, no problem. Ran stage 21 against the boss. They cleared it a minute 28, no problem. Very consistent. There's no losses. Ukko just brings that to the table. And let's just go look at Hydra here. Kind of see. So I use this team for brutal. So me and the other guys that are doing nightmare decided to only do brutal, hard, and normal. And this is because of these things right here. We get more of these because we'll get an extra chest, so we want that because we don't really want to spend gems on extra keys for the twins, but also it helps out our clan a lot when we, the end game players with the big damage and a lot of time and money invested into Hydra, just smash it and we're done. Now, as you can see, I manualed this. The highest chest is 20 mil. 20.4 mil, is that right? Yeah. On Hydra. I did over double that. I did manual, but I had to do it with like my spare champions, right? So everybody's like, well, Ninja's not a spare champion. You're right, but he also is the main damage dealer here. But I did run with my number one Duchess, and I did this with Lydia, and I did this with Mighty Ukko, and he came in clutch. He was able to put up block buffs and decrease accuracy, especially on the Head of Mischief. And my ultimate Death Knight is just a god healer, and he's my bait tank for Mischief Head. And then you just had these two dealing all the damage. But Ukko also dealt a fair amount of damage because of his A1, and he has War Master on it. But he also has Brimstone, and Ninja also has Brimstone. So these two were constantly keeping Brimstone up on the heads, and we were just letting it roll. I have one more Hydra key to do, and it's normal, and I'll definitely just wipe that up, and then everybody will have a good day. But yeah, don't shit on Ukko. He's great. And that's another thing too. Chosen was always good about this, and he still says it. Don't copy his stuff, detail for detail, word for word. Take it with a grain of salt. What works for us might not work for you. So in that, just remember, everything is limited by your gear and your experience in the game. But you also need to know that Hydra is a challenging endgame boss, especially on Nightmare. You can't just face roll the whole thing. It makes it no fun. So take the challenge when you can. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. That's the last of this TED Talk for today. And I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. Just another update. I'm going on vacation. I'm going home to Michigan to see my father. It's his 70th birthday. Give the old bear a hug and shit. You know how it goes. And then I will be back the Sunday, next Sunday. What day is that? We'll be back on the 9th. So, I love all of you. Have a wonderful time. Remember, keep your heads up. Keep your stick on the ice. Take care of yourselves.